Good afternoon. My name is Lee James. I'm state representative from 64th District in Western Pennsylvania, mostly Venango County and some of Butler County, and I'm here at the 104th Farm Show in Pennsylvania with Secretary of Agriculture, Russ Rettig. Hi, Russ.
It's a pleasure to see you. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Farm Show.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Appreciate that.
Great to have you here.
I have a few questions for Russ this afternoon, and I want to give him a chance to respond to those, some items of interest for farm and agricultural folks back home.
Yeah.
Number one, right behind us is
Right
this
here.
great sign about a farm bill.
Yeah.
So how, after the passage of the farm bill, how are things looking for the dairy industry in Pennsylvania?
Well, we are lucky. First of all, thanks for your support in Farm Bill.
Absolutely.
I think been around a long time as you have, and there are a couple of moments you remember well. This was one where we've talked about being able to help dairy and do a lot of workforce development and conservation. It all came together with the Farm Bill. Specific to to ag and the dairy, I mean, I think the Dairy Investment Program, which is we had a taste of it last year, was part of the Farm Bill this year. We have 77 applications for $5 million. So the Commonwealth Financing Authority is going to make a decision, we hope, here in January on that. But if it's anything like the first round, a lot of creativity and innovation and entrepreneurial spirits alive and well in the dairy. We could have, in the last couple of years, sort of concluded that it's nothing there and there's no future. I don't agree with that. I mean, I think it's certainly pressure in the industry, but when I look at what's happening on those farms, it's really reassuring to me that folks are really thinking hard about their future in that business. So we're good.
Well, and it's a tough business, too.
Tough business.
I was offered the opportunity to do a tour of a dairy operation, and I had to get up at dark 30 to get out there for the first milking, and it's pretty amazing how hard they work. So I've heard the estimation is that there will be 75,000 job vacancies in the business of agriculture over the next decade.
Yeah.
And you have recently put out a report in company with the Department of Education in Pennsylvania. How are we going to link the opportunities for younger people in particular, but anyone interested in getting into the agriculture business?
Yeah. Well, we are pleased. I mean, this goes back 2 years ago when the Commission for Ag Education Excellence was formed. And it was a great idea because it sort of pushed the Department of Education and Agriculture together to really look at the formal ag science programs, and we know those around the state, and we like them, but they're not everywhere, right? They're not in every school.
Right.
So you got to really focus on the schools where there's not a program, but also be cognizant of the elementary school years. So that's where the Farm Bill, I think, is a part of that. Looking at what we do in terms of workforce development, looking at what here at the Farm Show, we're proud of it, but making sure we use every opportunity to raise the profile of what is agriculture and what are those jobs. Being very clear with the employer community of what are the jobs and talking about the conservationists and the truck driver and the technology pieces. So we've got our task cut out for us, but I think between the commission work and the Farm Bill, we now have a much better plan of how we go out and very intentionally reach that interested either somebody who's employed today but wants to change careers, or try to inspire somebody to step into this business of ag.
Yeah, forestry is included in that too.
Forestry
right?
is absolutely included in that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's always interesting when you're on a tour with students of any age, when you put them on a farm and you say, this is where your cheeseburgers and your bacon comes from, and they just scratch their heads.
Right.
Like, really?
No appreciation for that. So if we can touch that here a little bit, I think that's the real value is to say this is who we are, this is who produces that, this is what we produce.
Right.
Is to our advantage in any of those discussions of investment, or particularly around jobs.
Let me ask you a question we discussed last year, please.
Yeah.
Invasive species, the spotted lanternfly, which became an issue in eastern Pennsylvania, I'm told has made its way into at least, 14 counties?
14 counties.
Yeah. What are we doing to fight that invasive species.
Yeah, we're working hard. I mean, I pause on just because it's one of those for 4 years running. We went from a county to 3 to 9 to 14. We've got to, we hope, contain to the 14 at this point. This pest has proven to be a very formative pest. Right?
Any natural enemies?
It does not have any natural enemies. It has another invasive plant that it prefers as a host, the tree of heaven, which is invasive in Pennsylvania. So you've got 2 invasives now. So you have an invasive fly, spotted lanternfly, who actually prefers another invasive. So that's part of our challenge, right? Because that tree of heaven has a tendency to be along rail lines, or it's sort of disturbed land. That's a preferred, but this pest has proven to be invasive in every way, socially, environmentally, economically. We're making progress, though, I think, to keeping it contained. We've got 22 different research projects underway. There are some very effective controls for it over the counter. The problem is you've got to spray all the time for them, right?
Yeah.
So we're making progress. We're trying to keep it in. It's a partnership with the Penn State University and researchers there and Extension and the USDA to try to get that job done. But so every year we hope that we've got the same sort of, no more territory to manage than the 14 counties. So let's hope.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
So you brought up Penn State. If I could introduce a question there. I've done several tours with them in central Pennsylvania. Can you talk about pollinators at this point? How can we help bees and butterflies and birds and bats?
Yeah, critical, right? We did a study, actually developed a plan a couple of years ago, a pollinator protection plan for Pennsylvania, and working with our, the fruit growers, but particularly the beekeepers of Pennsylvania, planting habitat, being sensitive to our sprays and the chemical controls we use, and having buffers in there for sprays, making sure we're looking at the breeding programs for bees, which I didn't pay a lot of attention to until the plan. There's 253 species of bees in Pennsylvania.
Didn't know that.
Didn't know, right? Pollinators of all kinds, and I live in Adams County where the apple growers particularly very sensitive to all of the pollinators now, right? The butterflies and the moths and the flies and the bees. All of that they consider part of the pollinator plan. But for Pennsylvania, I think we need to really work on that pollinator plan, right? Be very intentional about it. I think it's a great opportunity. So we're looking at that as part of our next sort of farm bill initiatives as well.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll follow that with interest.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one more?
Sure, please.
Okay. Let's say the next folks we run into are urban-oriented people who recognize the importance of agriculture as an industry. How do we get that section of the public more exposed to the needs and requirements to get into the agricultural business?
Yeah. Well, I think a part of it is found in the marketplace. I mean, having consumers recognize Pennsylvania preferred. Right? I'll have to say, if you really want to know, where did that come from? If you get them to stop and think and ask and be inquisitive, right? You can actually tell a great story and link them back in many ways to what's happening on the landscape. I think the success will come when folks think about who's feeding them. And if they've got to do that before I can sort of link there, you can get them really thinking hard about why do we invest in farmland preservation? Why do we worry so much about conservation efforts on these farms? The workforce issues. It's trying to get them to make a connection to Pennsylvania. I think that's done through our tables at home and our restaurants and our farm markets and stores. That's the critical piece.
An environmentalist would probably have an interest in this, the success of this business.
Anybody who's interested in the environment, the food system, I think health, both in personal and community health, is a part of this conversation as well. Ag is at that sort of interesting intersection of some of the most important issues of our time. Right? The environment, the climate issues, the health issues, the food issues, workforce are all sort of in that center column around ag. So we've got a great story to tell. Farm Show allows us to do that. But thanks for all your support.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah,
the good news is, net, we have plenty of opportunities for folks that want to get involved in this business.
Yes, we do. That's a good story.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Okay.
Thank you.